So I think we should go ahead and get started because
Yeah.
somebody I know has a paper to work on.
Yeah, man, I got my final paper for theory and practice of psychotherapy due tomorrow at midnight.
Yeah.
I have to write my entire vision of psychotherapy, including a section on what I think about human nature.
I assume that you only have like proofreading left because you're a good student and you've already got it done, right?
I mean, that'll be the part that I have to do last. The first thing I need to do is start the paper.
The friend in me is not surprised.
Yeah.
The professor in me is also not surprised, but still disappointed.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. That's all right, man. That's all right.
Oh, yeah, it's alright.
Too long didn't read Human Nature is Fucked. Thanks, Zombie 9x19. I appreciate the insight. You know, I have some opinions about humans. They're nothing terrible.
Nothing too terrible?
No, I think people are generally blank slates, and that we just do a pretty piss poor job of raising human beings.
So,
I mean, there are exceptions, of course, but
what do we want to talk about this week?
man, I had a couple ideas. Just as much planning went into this podcast tonight as did the paper that I'm writing. But so we're in a down season. The effects of the Clockwork City thing have been felt, and unlike a lot, the other releases we had, the releases we had in 2017, there hasn't been enough of a huge meta shift, even with the nerfs that we had recently, that like a counter shift is necessary to fight those things. Most of the same things are still pretty good. So there's some innovative deck building going on. I'm thinking of mid-range warrior making a rise over the last month and a half. But things are basically where they were a while ago, with some outliers. So I was thinking that there are a couple things we could do, depending on what the audience wants to do, what you want to do. The first thing I thought is, we had a lot of fun theory crafting a Doomcrag Sorcerer deck a while ago. That, a deck very similar to it that doesn't run Doomcrag. See success on the ladder in your hands, your mid-range Sorcerer with Worm King's Agent. I thought maybe we could see if there's a card out there like Stormcloak Camp, right? That like could be the engine for a deck that we're just not seeing, nobody's playing. And I also was curious, I'm interested in doing some more of the interactive stuff tonight. I'm interested in seeing where people are at with the game, what they would like to see done as far as marketing goes, as far as new content goes, as far as outreach they haven't seen. I'm just interested in hearing about all that.
Well, to start with your first idea, there is an underplayed little gem from Clockwork City that I would like to see more of.
Okay.
I think we could theory craft something around it.
All right. What's the card?
I think that Galen is not getting the due that he deserves.
Oh, okay.
Galen the Shelterer, in case you were wondering.
Right.
He's a unique legend. I feel like we could do something with him.
It's a great idea, brother.
you know, I don't think it would be very good, but I was thinking to myself the other day, just kind of related to this, that I want to really give Factotum Spellsword Control a shot, I think.
Okay. Spellsword control Factotums, huh?
Yeah, it suffers. The biggest problem is it suffers from a lack of card draw and like good AoE removal, but it does everything else that I would want a Factotum deck to do. So like if I can figure out the card draw part, I think that it might be worth it.
Yeah.
I think that the reason that Factotums are traditionally run in something like Assassin, for example, is because, well, I mean, let's be honest, Factotums aren't cool unless you draw your Factotums.
Right.
What I was considering as an engine to facilitate that was going to be like Factotum Spellsword that ran Alter to find them. Since you don't have card draw,
Yeah.
just churn them out with Alter.
Okay. I like that.
It's just an idea I had. I don't necessarily know 100% how it's gonna like work out mentally, but it's something I've been tossing around for some fun casual games. as
Okay.
opposed to the ladder grind.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, the idea that came to my mind was sort of another look at illusory mimic in Scout. Um, and this is again motivated like your idea is by Clockwork City cards. I just thought Ruthless Freebooter is the kind of card that would love to run in these decks, and the addition of Clockwork Scorpion makes that kind of compelling to me.
Yeah, I can see Scorpion there. You know, it's funny. Every time I think about factotums, I never think about Mimic. But once you start giving the factotums keywords,
Yeah,
you're really increasing your chances of Mimic triggers because every copy that's still in your deck is going to pick up those keywords, right? So
yeah, that's a good point.
it's another interesting interaction.
Yeah, that's true. What about Factotum Scout? I mean, is Factotum Scout like something you could do?
I think that the reason that it hasn't happened is it's totally something you could do. I mean,
Right.
you have card draw. You still have access to cards like Galen and Soul Tear, which was part of the reason that I was interested in the Spellsword version because
Right.
it's a great way to continue getting the triggers.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to like if I'm gonna play a control-based scout, why wouldn't I just play the other one with the
That's
shout
true.
package? You know what I
That
mean?
that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
Like the shout package and drain vitality are just so strong. Now,
Right.
I mean, maybe there's room for a version that runs both, but that's a lot of card slots. Like you're not leaving a lot of room for much else
Yeah.
if you're doing shout package and factotums.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah.
Varion in chat says that the other day he played against a Factotum assassin that drew all of their Factotums in their first 20 cards. That's how Factotums wins.
Yeah. Just
That's
take
what
just take solace in the fact that he probably lost the 4 games prior.
Right. Right, like, today but right before this, I was recording some games with Skeever Camp, the Stormcult Camp Skeever Infestation Battle Mage deck, and I played 4 games. I won 1, and the video that gets released for that deck next week is going to include me playing 1 game.
Yeah.
It's going to look great. But I beat Merrick Battle Mage, which was really satisfying. But I mean, like, I think any blue-based control deck is a pretty good matchup for that deck.
Yeah. Speaking of blue-based control decks, I took Token Mage for a spin for the first time all season on the ladder this week.
Yeah.
And on stream, I lost a game to a sorcerer control deck that had like 60 cards and ran things that I didn't even remember existed as cards.
Nice.
It was so bad, and it was the sort of thing that like you look at it and you think you have no business whatsoever losing to it. But I lost to it because it turns out to beat tokens. If you Ice Storm on turn 5 and on turn 6,
Yeah.
probably good enough. And that's exactly what happened. It was just one of those like, well, I guess this guy got what he needed.
That's what happens sometimes, man.
Yeah. Bravo.
Dude, we're both kind of low energy tonight.
Yeah, a little bit. It's been a long week. Like, it's been laid back because the family's been on vacation. They come back tomorrow. But it's also been
Right.
long because I've been trying to pump out a bunch of content. Like,
Yeah.
I posted 3 deck spotlights this week and a bunch of other stuff. And
Yeah.
I just wrapped up a video that I'm planning on posting Monday that is looking at my year's worth of stats in terms of like win rate in relation to the ring. So look for that Monday. But it's been busy, even though it's been laid back.
I'm excited to see that. I'm looking at the Elder Scrolls Legends section on Twitch right now. These are not great numbers.
No, they're not. There's been a pretty solid consensus that they've been dropping, not even just counting like live streaming, right? But like even the drop farmer camps, if you will, have been getting smaller and smaller and smaller as of late.
Yeah. What do you suppose the solution is, man?
To Twitch numbers or just like engagement overall?
Yeah, I would guess more broadly speaking, just engagement. You know.
Oh, that's a good question. For me, I think that there's a couple of things. We can beat the marketing drum all we want, and I mean it's hard to argue against it because like exposure is good, but at some point, like that's going to be diminishing, right? Diminishing returns.
Yeah.
So I think to me, it's maybe a reinvestment in whatever brings in the core audiences, and maybe they already are doing this and we just can't see it on our end. But I kept thinking about this when I was talking with Ty. I don't know if you saw on Reddit, but he posted like his custom UI thing that he'd like to see,
Yeah, I
and
like
and,
that.
and he was asking me for feedback, and we were going back and forth. And one of the things I was thinking about and was relaying to him at the time was that I think that Elder Scrolls Legends specifically can really distance itself and like plant a flag in the solo experience if they want to.
Yeah.
Hearthstone used to do adventures and then they like stopped for a bit because it like wasn't necessarily fitting their business model, and I don't know if that's going to be the case with Legends or what, but I think that the audience is just different, and I think that the solo experience is important for your Elder Scrolls audience. And what I mean by that is that for Hearthstone, World of Warcraft was already a game where you were playing with other people online. The game itself is largely based on the World of Warcraft trading card game, so many people don't realize there was a physical World of Warcraft trading card game that was released a long time ago, and Hearthstone plays very similar to that. So there was already roots there for a player versus player or an online experience or all of that jazz, right? With the exception of Elder Scrolls Online, however, the
Right.
Elder Scrolls universe has always been about solo role-playing experiences, right?
That makes sense.
And you still get that feel. I think Direwolf did a great job. You get that feel when you play this game for the first time, right? You play through the story and you're leveling up, you're getting that experience. And I certainly love our story expansions, but once you get to the end of like when you hit level 50, and I know this is something we've talked about in the past, like I feel like, okay, well now what, right? Like I still want that, like either a prestige mode or a higher level cap, or like give me something in that solo experience. And solo arena is cool, and it's certainly still something that I even still play right now. But I just feel like, I don't know, like they could really pitch the like role playing card game aspect if they wanted to.
I can see that. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, it's a much more it's a unique market too, right? Like a game that has an extensive solo package to it. And you had a great point too about how coming to the Elder Scrolls Legends are Elder Scrolls fans, which for the most part are used to solo games.
Yeah. And I don't think that it's even limiting because it's a card game, because like my mom is the kind of person who, when she was alive, like she would play solitaire for 4 hours straight against the computer. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I know that Lord of the Rings has a living card game that's supposed to be strongly like against the AI, and there's like I think a co-op experience coming out as well. So I know that there is a market segment for the people who legitimately like card games but just don't really want to hop on a ladder and engage in the hard PvP portion,
Yeah, that makes sense. I like the sound of that. So how do you reach that audience, and what is it about that audience? Like, is it more people who are a little older? Is it, like, who are those people?
I don't know. I mean, that's the sort of thing that you would likely want to do a market study for.
Right.
We don't even know if like that's going to have enough money involved, and then even if you do that, like is that that good for the longevity of the game? Because I don't know what the return on investment is for the PvE content versus PvP, because PvE content, specifically the story expansions, I would wager probably take as much or more effort to make than just pack-based expansions.
Oh, of course, yeah. You're developing two products. The
Yeah.
solo experience and then the balance for the multiplayer experience.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, there's like all the additional voice acting that you have to record and the encounters that you have to design, and yeah, so I mean, there's that, and then there's also the flip side, right? So as much as I think that they could really plant their flag in the solo arena, and I think that that's a good target audience for your traditional Elder Scrolls crowd, I mean, let's be honest. Those of us who like card games and liked to play them against other people have, asked for more competitive support for a while. Not that I think that needs to be like huge $1 million tournaments by any means, because,
right.
I know that I'm probably in the minority, but I've always said, like, if I wanted to play a card game for money, I would just go play, poker, right? Like, to me,
right.
the money's not the motivator, but I do enjoy the tournament atmosphere. Whether it's online or in person, like I enjoy watching a bracket and, talking to the other participants, and, it's the same thing like when I go to Magic tournaments in person. It's a lot different experience than, just playing, Commander with a group of friends or something. So
that makes sense.
I would like more outlets for that.
Yeah. Huh. It's interesting because the argument we usually hear from, or the idea or concept we usually hear from the more entrenched players on Reddit and stuff is that the game needs a competitive scene, right? Like that by involving more people into a more group-oriented thing, and we create a spectacle, something people wanted to watch, an esports scene, and that's like the other big direction that people advocate for.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was alluding to. I would welcome it. I just don't know if it's interesting because, like, you're not going to pull in some of the top level players unless there's money involved, but I personally don't think that the money needs to be as involved as much as it needs to just be an outlet. Like Turquoise Link has said for a long time that, it wasn't necessarily money for him. He said, slap on something and call it the World Championship or whatever, and like he'll play for, just the title, or, mail him a $10 trophy and he's happy. You know what I mean? Like, for some people, the spirit of competition is enough. And I'm not saying that the tournaments that we currently have aren't great. It's just there's not necessarily a lot of them, and many people don't even know that they exist. I will say this, you talk about like exposure and stuff as well. Right. One of the things that I think that they're starting to do a better job of, I'm seeing more of it as I sign into the game, but I almost feel like the game needs a dedicated tile or spot when you sign into the game itself for news.
Dude, I saw that when I logged in today.
Yeah, that's just it though. There's the pop-up, but I mean like a spot where like I click on it and I can see the news. Like imagine, for example, we have a balance patch, right? The very first time you sign in, it tells you what's changed, right? You can see the cards. And then after you've done that and you click OK, and you want to remember like, oh, hey, I skipped through that one card, or, what was that change to Unstoppable Rage again? How do you get back to it? Because right now, in the client, there is no, like, go to recent updates area. There is no news area. Right. Whereas, like, if I play a game, like, even a game like Shardbound, for example, which is basically, like, on its last leg, it in its interface, like, when you signed in, had a news area, and I could go there and it would link to recently posted articles by the company. And it would link to their subreddit, to their Discord, and to some other stuff, right? So, like, if we had a spot in our client that would connect to social media, connect to the website, it'd be great if in that same area it was, like, learn about upcoming tournaments, and maybe it kicked you to the ESL website or something. Kicked you to the Warp Meta website. Like, I think they just need that, like, dedicated area to say, like, hey, this game has a community, come be a part of it. I think that would go a a long way in maybe keeping player engagement. Because if you're a new person and you try it out, like maybe you do the story and you're like, oh, this is pretty cool, but you know, you don't know where to connect with other people. You know, yeah, so Pete in chat right now mentions that Gwent does this pretty well, and I agree. Gwent is another game with a very similar thing. You sign into Gwent, they have links to all their social media, they've got links to articles. Gwent also does a good job with like developer updates. I think that Legends, they're getting better, and I want to acknowledge that they're getting better. But I think a dedicated hub in the client would do a lot.
Okay, I like the sound of that. You know, while you were saying that, I had maybe an insane idea. I was thinking about how, like, to some degree, the players that we have that are the entrenched players are people who have been playing since open beta, who have full collections and so on and so forth, right? And the game's been out. You know, we have like 4 expansions now, right? And the game's been out for, you know, in the public's hands at least, although it hasn't been out of beta for a year, but it's been in the public's hands for over a year. Almost a year and a half now, I guess. What if I was thinking about, there's this Heroes of the Storm, the other game that I play. I did this thing this last summer called Heroes of the Storm 2.0, which is this big push to get people who, you know, at this point they release a new hero every month. They've been doing it for like 4 years, so there's a shitload of heroes, and the barrier to entrance is like was prohibitively expensive if you were just starting off. Legends 2.0 like let's say it coincides with a new set release. In Heroes 2.0, when you got to choose 1/3 of all the heroes in the game, and you got them for free as part of a bundle, just for joining, right? Just for being a new player. What if we just gave away the entire core set to new players as part of a big push, you know, that coincided with an announcement that, hey, at QuakeCon this year in 6 months, we're gonna have a tournament, finish in the top 32 like twice in the next whatever, and you're invited, along with this free, you know, something for the new players as well. So you come at it holistically for like the new players, the old players, you know, the old players get the new content, they get the opportunity to compete. The new players get the new cards, and you know, the two of those forces working together and having a positive, you know, attitude about the game creates the word of mouth that you need to build a community up.
Yeah, I mean, I would get behind something like that, even if it's not the entire core set. You know, perhaps they do another round of budget decks or something, right, that incorporate a lot more of the core set or something, and then they give a bunch of those out for free, or you know what I mean. But yeah, I 100% think that, you know, if they do get to the point where they say like, okay, you know, we've heard your you know, requests, we've heard your feedback, we're going to do a competitive scene, you know, I think that they would have to do something at that point to also entice the new players to come and participate, right? Like, it's not one thing to just have a competitive scene for the people who've stuck to the game, but you need to lure back some of the other ones and entice some of the other players that maybe never gave this game a try, but, you know, were willing to. I think that's a great idea. You know, in terms of marketing in general, so this week's here, okay. All right, this week's cheesy cryptocurrency reference.
God damn it, dude.
Also,
I'm muting myself.
Also, pyramid scheme reference, if you will. So, the Twitch community, you'll see some people that have been referencing it, and I'm also trying it out, mostly because I wanted to keep an eye on it, and I was curious how it was going to work, and I think I know enough about it now to figure out what their business model is going to be. But there's this Referium thing, right? So Referium is technically not a cryptocurrency, it's like a token, but basically the idea is they go through seasons, and each season you earn points, and based on the number of points you have, you get rewarded tokens at the end of the season for tiers you fall into, right? Now, it's a pyramid scheme because, like, part of it is you get points for referring people.
Dude, why don't we all just start selling plexus?
No, but hear me out, right? So, I was I was following this because I was curious what the end game like business model was going to be. Like a pyramid scheme where you just refer people doesn't do anybody any good. You've got to have like something that you're trying to bait at the end of this. So another game that I play and I enjoy thoroughly off stream, and I think I've streamed it like once so far, is Fortnite. I'm having a lot of fun playing the battle royales.
What is Fortnite?
So Fortnite is it's got a PvE version and then a PvP one that's got like a battle royale mode, but it's like a shooter, but you also build forts. So like the PvE version is like you build forts and you try to survive like these waves of hordes. The PvP version, like it's literally a shooter, but you can in the middle of a fight just build a fort and hunker down in it. Like it's kind of cool. But so this current season of Referium, so this is like where their business model kicks in. They're saying like, okay, we've partnered with Fortnite and you get bonus points if you download the free Battle Royale version. You get bonus points if you purchase the PvE version. And you get 2 times as many points for watching Fortnite streams or streaming Fortnite. Right? So this Referium thing, now that they've pyramided a bunch of people in, and they get them hooked on trying to earn tokens, because you can redeem the tokens to like buy games, for example. Like that's the end game on their part, right? Okay. It's got this marketing thing behind it that reminds me kind of a lot of like Twitch drops in a way, right? You're encouraging people to watch your content, right? But it's bringing in people who wouldn't necessarily be from that game. So like Twitch drops was great at first for surging Legends viewership because people who were already playing the game wanted to earn stuff for that game. The genius of the Referium thing, right, is that once you get people like hooked on the whole tokens thing, you can start partnering with other games and bring in people who wouldn't have normally cared about that to maybe like watch those streams, purchase stuff for that game because they want to get those points. And so I'm not saying like, hey, Legends, go partner with Referium or anything, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Maybe they should also keep an eye on it. Like I'm only participating because I'm like cautiously optimistic about what it could be used for, but it's just interesting. Like I was already playing Fortnite, so it's not a big deal. But I know other people who didn't even know what Fortnite was that are only paying attention to it now because of the Referium deal, right? So...
Okay. That's interesting. That is interesting.
Like, if we had a Referium for, like, you know, get your points for watching Legend streams, and you also get bonus points, like, if you purchase Return to Clockwork City or something. You know what I mean? Like, just driving people in.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, notifications are off when I record the podcast, but Ray Barker just renewed his subscription to the channel. 5 months, he's close to a new badge, but he said, I never know what to say for these. Nerf Bitcoin and the Ring.
Right on.
He's so relevant, he doesn't even know it.
Welcome back, Ray Barker. Ray, we need to have you on as a guest again. We need your wacky deck building skills.
We need your smooth Australian accent.
I know, you're like the smartest sounding person I've ever heard online. But yeah, we definitely need you back. So message us on Twitter. Sweet.
So what do I got to do to get you signed up on my pyramid scheme, Justin?
Bro, I don't watch anything on Twitch.
It doesn't matter. I get points for referring, man. It's a pyramid scheme.
All I gotta do is sign up?
Yeah.
Do I gotta drink Plexus?
I mean, only if you want to.
That shit's just salt and sugar, man.
I'll tell you what. If you sign up using my referral link, I will send you 2 Tide Pods.
That's pretty sweet. Right? We could turn this into the Tide Podcast.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. I meant to use that pun when I tweeted out our announcement we were going live. God damn it, dude.
Yeah, you forgot.
I did.
I even had the meme I posted today.
I know, that's pretty great. Dude, Sandra fucking... So, like, 3 or 4 days ago, Sandra came up to me. She's like, Justin...
Oh,
Because I asked her what Tide Pods were. Because, like, I'd seen it obliquely referenced somewhere. And she's like, oh my god, really? And so should we get on Instagram? Instagram or... I think Instagram. One of those things. I don't know. Because there's another one, but I can't remember what it's called. But, like... And she starts showing me, like, Tide Pod meme after Tide Pod meme. And I was just hooked, man. I couldn't stop doing it. I got to work the next day, and I was still looking at Tide Pod memes, and I was tweeting about it all day, too.
I need to get you an Imgur account.
Maybe that's what it was. I've seen that word before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's theoretically pronounced Imager, but I refuse to. Just like I refuse to say GIF.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that you would be quite comical on there.
That'd be sweet. So, like, as kind of, like, down as we are, and we're also talking about, like, not the most enthralling fucking subject right now with regards to, like, how to beef up Legends' presence. I do think the game is actually, like, structurally in a pretty good place. And I do know that, like, it is time, we're at the length of time since the last content release that if they're following their old announced plans for new content every 3 months or so, like, we're getting pretty close, right?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I think I predicted either last podcast or it was the one prior that February, early March at the latest would be when my personal prediction would be.
Yeah.
Just because, again, so when you look at the 2017 calendar, we had Fall of the Dark Brotherhood in March. End of June was Heroes of Skyrim, and then November was Return to Clockwork City. So
right.
That's, again, like roughly 3 to 4 months per. So if we've got November was our Return to Clockwork City, you go December, January, February would be month 3, March would be month 4, right? So
right.
That being said, we are not only close, but also AJ in CVH's chat, and then he went on to Reddit to clarify earlier, may have spoiled that it's potentially a pack-based set. He didn't come out and say it, but he said that he felt like they had a good cadence for those things. And when you look at, again, cadence, not counting Madhouse, which feels like a more standalone thing, we went story, pack, story, so I assume that the next one's likely a pack set.
Yeah.
Again, entirely speculation, don't quote me on it. But just going off of what AJ had said in CVH's chat. So, so here's the other thing. If it really is February, like early March at the latest, given the normal, like, reveal schedule, I wouldn't be shocked if, like, in the next, I don't know, like 2 weeks we start seeing stuff.
You think
right? So? Yeah, I think that would be... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll put it that way. I know you're getting uncomfortable because I'm going to say that, and then we won't hear anything for 6 months, because that's the Bethesda way. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be shocked given the cadence, right? Because if it's a pack-based set, you're going to have a larger pool to reveal from. It's not going to be like Clockwork City. So I would guess that you'd probably have like a 3 week, maybe a month of reveals leading up. And if you're doing that again with maybe late February, early March, like, it's got to be getting close, right?
I would imagine. I'm just ready for it, And the thing about the Madhouse collection, I wanted to say this real quick. Like, I always thought about look, the Madhouse collection remains my favorite expansion, but I've always thought the Madhouse collection was released when it was released, how it was released, as a way of saying we didn't anticipate open beta going on this long. We thought the mobile release would be done quicker. Here's some content.
See, I never took it like that. I think people forget that Madhouse also corresponded with Chaos Arena.
Right.
So to me, it was more of a, like, hey, we're also trying to celebrate this new event thing. Like, if we ever get a new game mode, it wouldn't shock me if we get another, like, Madhouse thing at that point.
Yeah.
Yum Yum in chat says they're going to announce January 31st a new expansion because they love the end of the month. And they really do love the end of the month, don't they? End of November was Clockwork Heroes of Skyrim was end of June. Fall, I thought Dark Brotherhood was like more middle of March, but I mean, he's not wrong. They do love the end of the month.
That makes sense. I can never remember when anything's announced, but that makes sense. When's the announcement of the announcement? Announcementception? I don't know, man. You know, and like we're just talking out our ass here, but like it does feel like that's the time, right? It does feel like that's the time.
Maybe it's just unbridled optimism on my part. I don't know, but that's
maybe it is. Maybe it is. Yeah.
Ian Bits says, if they have a pack expansion, I hope there's enough cards to give Spanish Drop Guy a card this time.
Oh yeah, we need to get on that.
Yeah,
we definitely need to get on that. Look, you know what I know about a new expansion? A new expansion needs to have Mage in it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. In fact, I would go for a Mage-based expansion.
Yeah.
Where every class gets a unique legendary, and it's Mage.
I would go for a Madhouse style pack where you get a bunch of different versions of Mage.
Yeah, the Mage House collection.
I want 10 cards, one for literally each class, right?
Yeah.
And he just does something different that's within, like, the realm of what each class is known for. Like, the Monk one would have Pilfer.
Yeah.
The Battle Mage one would do something with items. But the reason that he belongs everywhere and does all the things is because you don't know which one is the real Mage or what is reality and not, because he's a liar.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
exactly.
I want that. The only acceptable way, in my opinion, that Bethesda can get away with not printing a Mage card at some point, part of me would smile inside, is if every set, this is what I kind of want secretly. I want every set for them to reveal a Mage card and then never actually put it in the expansion and do it every time.
I think that's amazing. I think we should give Spanish Drop Guy a reveal for a card that's not in the set. That card is Mage the Liar. El Mentiroso.
Yum Yum says, Spanish Drop Guy was mad that he didn't get a card reveal, so Legends now takes up an equal amount of space on the screen to FIFA.
Does it really? I've never watched it. Hold on, let me pull it up.
I've never watched it either. I don't even...
Pull it up real quick. Where's Spanish Drop Guy?
I know Spanish Drop Guy by reputation only.
Spanish Drop Guy. Here we go. What is this? There's a lot going on the screen. He's playing Bejeweled or something in the right.
Well, of course.
Huh. That's good times.
Yeah, because the focus isn't Legends or anything.
That makes sense.
If you're listening to the podcast for the first time...
Welcome.
Spanish Drop Guy is a Twitch broadcaster who basically streams 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Most of the time it's not even live broadcasts, it's just rebroadcasts with the intent of farming viewers and farming Twitch drops. And the viewers that sit in there are also not interacting, they're just farming Twitch drops. And that's why... That's why, one, we always make fun of it and they're not really included in the community, and two, that's why things like Bejeweled and FIFA also make appearances on his stream, because Legends is far from the focus. So
that makes sense. You know, we have a big tournament tomorrow. I mean, not you and I, because we're not good enough to get in, but the Championship Series Top 32 tournament is tomorrow.
That is right. Maybe I'll be in one soon. Because my family was on vacation this week, I actually had time to like play some games.
Yeah.
So I finished last night in the top 100, like 2 days ago. Like, no joke, I was 500 and something, and in 2 days I jumped into the top 100. It's amazing what I can do if I actually have time to sit down and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, someday if my 2 jobs and family don't keep me away, I'll be like a real player.
Yeah. Dude, someone posted on Reddit the other day. They were talking about how they had played the game a long time ago, and they were just coming back and they were shouting out to people and things that they remember. And they mentioned that I once hit #1 legend with mono red, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's right, I did."
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. You know, it is the time thing, right? I mean, like, look, there's a skill level about involved in it too. Like, there are better players now than there were when I was hitting top 10 legend. But it's largely a time commitment to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, it's a time commitment, and you'll never hear me say that I'm the best Legends player ever. In fact, 9 times out of 10, I describe myself as mediocre at best.
Well, you're top 3 though, right?
Oh yeah, I'm for sure top 3. Never the best, but for sure top 3.
Yeah.
No, like I usually just say, like, look, I recognize that I would, if I was giving the most honest assessment, I would say good, not great. But a lot of that has to do with, again, like, time. And not just because, like, I feel like if I had enough time to play as many games as other people that, like, I would outgrind them or anything, but just quite frankly, like, if you look at a guy like Trader Joe who plays as many games as he does, you get better at the game when you play more. I think, like,
absolutely
not even card games in general, but there's the number that's always thrown around kind of like casually is it takes like 10,000 hours to master something, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
The people who have the opportunity to play more are just going to be better than me. They've got better practice, they've got a better routine, a rhythm, they they can think less because they've been through the motions, right? Like, it's just like anything. So
yeah,
it's time for practice, it's time for those things. And then also, quite frankly, like, I think a lot of people forget that when I'm streaming, it's like already midnight and into the AM, and it's after I've worked 1 to 2 jobs. So, like, I'm never streaming this game when I'm 100% with it. When people are like, "Hey man, why'd you miss, like, Lethal?" I don't know, because I can't feel my toes right now. I am so close to falling asleep, I don't even know what to do. So,
yeah.
But that being said, like, when I used to put more time into it, I was routinely in the 20s and 30s, but that was like 8 months ago. It's like been 8 or 9 months since I was in top 100 because I just haven't put an emphasis on it.
I hear you, man. The good news is that if the federal government stays shut down for much longer, the deleterious economic effects will trickle down to my nonprofit and your state government job. We'll be out of work, and we'll be able to play Legends all day.
Well, I mean, I guess that's just what we got to do.
Yeah.
It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Right. I mean, this country... insert shithole joke, man. I don't know. I don't even have energy for that right now.
Here's what I want to say, right? Part of me wishes I could just quit both jobs and make content full time, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a part of me that wants to do it. I would love to do that. Anything games related, I live it and I breathe it. Yeah. But in order to do that, I would probably have to, like, rebroadcast, 24/7 and farm viewers or something. Yeah. And I don't know if I can do that and sleep well at night. So
hey, let me ask you a question. How long of a video do I need to have uploaded to Twitch to repeat it over and over and over again for people to farm drops?
It's a good question.
Does anybody know? Anybody in the audience? Like, let's say I recorded a 1.5-minute long video, and I wanted to run it on my channel 24 hours a day. Could people farm drops in there?
I mean, technically, yeah, you could record, yourself on loop saying, "Hi, this is a drop farm. Welcome." And then, because I mean, really, you start your stream and then you walk away, and then you can just in OBS set it to play a video on loop, right?
So like, I have to be running OBS and uploading it constantly or something.
Yeah. Like, basically, like, imagine you streaming and then you just never turn it off. But instead of it being your webcam and, like, the actual game, you just set it to be a pre-recorded video on a loop.
Okay. Well, then I have some good news about the future of my channel.
Yeah,
I have a meme video that I was filming earlier that I'm gonna run 24 hours a day on my channel from now on.
fair.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually we'll get back to making commercials, and we'll make so many that we'll run a 24-hour commercial channel.
I feel like sooner rather than later we'll have some cool shit to
Yeah.
record. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Um, K Vitoid, I'm probably slaughtering that, and I apologize. Asked
Yeah.
me, what do I do for a living for my two jobs? During my day job, I work in data governance for my state treasury department, specifically dealing with like identity theft and tax fraud and like I can't. There's some things I can say and some things I can't say, but basically, like I catch bad guys with data and interwebs.
Holy shit! You're like Jordy on an away mission.
I'm I'm more like the Chris Hansen of tax fraud.
Have a seat over here.
Yeah, and my second job is I'm an adjunct professor for a local university, and I teach computer science at night. So computer programming courses, SQL Server. This past semester, I was teaching database design, but I have this semester off, so I might be streaming a little bit more frequently this semester. But I also, when I'm not teaching, I also do some consulting work for a previous job that I worked at, which was a nonprofit in education. So yeah, I'm always doing something. I never get sleep.
Charmer's actually a vampire.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm taking a picture of my cat.
Well, of course, it's only natural.
I'm gonna tweet it out. It's a good picture. Yeah. So what do you want to see? Like, what kind of new cards do you want to see, man? What does this game need?
What does this game need?
Yeah.
I don't know. Lately, I'd say it needs the ability to build forts, because I'll be honest, I've been playing a lot of Fortnite too. Like, I'm almost embarrassed how much Fortnite I've played off stream. That's
fair. Yeah, I really have been hooked on Heroes of the Storm in ways that I can't articulate.
So not to say I don't love this game. I just also people need a break from time to time.
Yeah.
Hannibal asks, Blood Magic Lord or Night Talon Lord? Blood Magic Lord, for a couple of reasons. I've always just had an affection for the card, and I think he's cool, but also, if you've ever heard me go on any rant about comic book characters, you know that I'm not a fan of Batman, and Night Talon Lord is Batman. He literally is a bat in the picture. He says, I am the knight when he attacks. Like, Night Talon Lord is Batman, so... I choose Blood Magic Lord.
I got to go with Night Talon Lord just because it's funnier to blow people out with that. But, I mean, while we're talking about the old days of Legends, or we were earlier, and I'm going to force the issue, a 1 in 4 chance on a Blood Magic spell is what won the very first Legends tournament for me. So, I got to give props.
Yeah, I mean, Night Talon Lord's the kind of card that will win you the game if it's not answered, but that doesn't mean that it's good, right? Like, I lost a game on stream, I can't remember if it was last night or the night before, to yet another deck that, in all honesty, was the sort of thing that I had no business losing to, right? Mm-hmm. But I lost to it because they played Quinral Burglar and swung with it 3 times, and I still found no answers, right? I had a lot of answers in my deck, right? I ran Lightning Bolts and 6 Silences and Harpies and, you know what I mean? Like, have all these answers, but it doesn't matter if you just don't have them at the time. So, like, every now and then a game like that needs...
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. For the first time in the history... Well, I don't want to... I looked at, like, years worth of data. I actually lost subscribers on YouTube for the first time. Like, I was down net, total, I guess, for the day 2 days ago.
2 days ago, huh?
Yeah. It was new. It was a new feeling. It was a new experience.
Man, must
Yeah.
be must be a 1% problem. I lose subscribers left and right, man. I sneeze and I lose subscribers.
Well, I mean, like, you know, I've lost a total of 1,700, right? But like, you know, I'm at 6,200 or whatever. It's just that, like,
You've lost more subs than I've got total.
but I mean, like, it's the first time like my total went down in a day.
You know, Firo was actually talking on his stream the other day, and I thought it was kind of interesting, and I can't really articulate why. There is a pretty sizable gap, specifically in the YouTube community, between like you and CVH and Firo, and then like all of the other Legends content creators.
Yeah.
Like a pretty sizable. Like, what are you up to now, right? Like,
Me, I have 6,200 subscribers.
yeah, so you've got like 6,000. I think CVH is approaching 10K-ish now. Like,
Yeah, he's at like 10,000.
I think Firo has like 9,000, and then like after that, it drops to like me and Dragon Tamer Blade, who I think just hit 2K. I'm at like 1,600, and it's just so interesting to me that there's like such a sizable gap between the two, right? Like, I don't know.
You know, I will say, like, I do the most shameless self-promotion, so I'm sure that's part of the reason I have my numbers.
Yeah, I just would have thought from like YouTube exposure and things like that at some point it would have, like, people would have went down that rabbit hole and at least found some other people. Like, if you're interested in Legends and you find like you and CVH, for example, which is what we would expect out of the gate. I'm very surprised that it's just like that massive of a drop off. I can only assume it's because Dragon Tamer Blade does other games and I'm just rather unlikable, but it's a pretty big drop.
So looking at my channel, like when you bring up the homepage or whatever the fuck it's called, it recommends you to Furo, Charmer, Hiking Emmerich, Gym Class Hero, Dragon Tamer Blade, CVH, TES Legend Central, and Games Inquisition. And Games Inquisition is a big Legends channel, but I'm pretty sure it's in Spanish.
Is it Spanish drop guy?
Oh, no, it's Russian. No, I'm subscribed to a Legends channel in Spanish, which has about 3,000 subscribers. Yeah. I guess, I mean, like, for a while, Sandra and I were talking about releasing content in Spanish. And, so we did, you know, we searched out to see if anybody was doing it already, and we found this guy, so.
Interesting.
Yeah. Trying to find his name. You know, I mean, like, I'm not great with Spanish, so, like, it's not like I watch the channel regularly, but I am subscribed to him. Let's see here. Oh, shit. I haven't watched him, like, oh, no, here we go. Yeah, he still plays Legends. It's Djebel, Djebel. Yeah. Yep.
So, Ray wants to dive right into the interactive portion. So it's time, sure. He says, would triple attribute classes work? Assuming a huge no, would it work for a Rumble, and how would you like to see it explored, if at all? And this is something that you and I have talked about a bit in the past.
Yeah.
I think the way things are currently balanced, no.
Yeah. It would be super homogenous. Like, you know, we would all be playing the same thing. I mean, like, imagine putting Lightning Bolt and Encano and Tazcad and Orcs. I mean, I guess that's 4 classes, but like, just like small changes like this, I feel like just be not fun.
That's not 4 classes though, right? Lightning Bolt. Well, if you say Tazcad, but no, if you go like Lightning Bolt and Encano in anything that can run Sower of Revenge, like, that's all I need.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, that would not be fun.
Like, I think ultimately, it's so funny, whenever I think about 3 classes, for me it always comes back to Sower of Revenge. I don't want to have to play against Sower of Revenge any more than I already have to.
Yeah.
Card is just that good.
I agree. Sower of Revenge is crazy powerful.
Or give the curse package to that many more things, or...
I feel like dragon decks could be insanely powerful. 3 colors worth of dragons sounds great. As well as 3 colors of dragon enablers.
I'm not even sure that it's good enough. I think it's too slow. Because think about the like aggressive options that open up as well the minute you can go.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess aggro. We just feels like it would trend towards the most powerful. I mean, like maybe you take the control mage package, that shell, and what would you mix with it? I mean, control mage would like. I don't know.
I mean, if you're trying to play the control side of things, then you add endurance because you want to have like Dark Guardians and Barrow Stalkers for your early game.
You could run 35 guard creatures and 15 removal spells.
Yeah, Ian Betts says control mage with drain vitality also.
That was my first thought, was control mage with green, but endurance just seems like so roadblocky and unstoppable.
Yeah, because endurance also gives you access to like Edict of Azura.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you get Barrow Stalker, Dark Guardian, Edict of Azura, on top of your Ice Storms. You get Soul Tear. Like, if the meta were to then go greedy, then you also have Soul Tear there. On the green side, you would have access to, like, what? Drain Vitality, Baroness, Tazcad, but I don't know. The problem with Drain Vitality is you almost still kind of, like, have to run the Curse package, and I don't know if, like, the Curse package plus Ice Storm is good enough. Or not Curse package, excuse me, the Shout package. And I don't know if, like, the Shout package plus Ice Storm and the other stuff ends up being good enough.
That's fair. That's fair. It's an interesting thought exercise though, and you know what, Ray, when you come back, this is actually something I think would be fun to like brew up and make lists for.
Yeah. Sammy 109/19 mentions Battle Mage with heal. Yeah, Merrick. You know, ultimately that might be interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the best deck in the format is actually Wisp Raiders, because you just survive long enough and then auto win.
Wisp Raiders support, like Wisp Raiders, Wisp Mother combo meets support mage. This is a deck I would never want to play against. Holy shit, though, that could be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that just feels really chaotic. So, like, JT Graphics says, what about 3 attributes with no, like, 2 color cards? So, like, no class specific. I mean, it still feels really strong, though, right? Like, you take that Control Mage example that we were talking about, and, okay, so I don't get Edict of Azura, but I still get Barrow Stalker, Dark Guardian, you know, Soul Tear.
Ray, yeah, I mean, I don't have any plans for next week, but Charmer and I gotta discuss it. We might have plans for next week, I don't know.
Furion says, what do you guys think the theme for the next expansion will be?
I want it to be Morrowind. That's what I want it to be.
It wouldn't shock me if it was Morrowind, just because Elder Scrolls Online recently did their Morrowind expansion. I feel like Oblivion would be another like easy one to hit. What do I think it'll be? I think it'll be Arena, like old school. Like
pixelated fucking artwork.
Yeah. And I want the art on the cards to be that pixelated.
The Heart of Elsewhere, like a Khajiit base expansion. By the way, every time I get those surveys from Bethesda about what I want, I I always write shit like when they ask for notes and additional comments. I'm always like, more Khajiit, please. I think I've written that 3 times now.
I need to start putting in my Eek the Liar requests there. I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
I had not considered that.
Yeah. I think I missed a question.
Probably.
But yeah, I mean, next expansion, there's all sorts of stuff they can do, you know? Like, I feel like the smart move marketing-wise is to, like, tie into an existing, like, location or property that people have a lot of passion for, you know? I think people really like Sheets, but I also think people really like Morrowind, especially through the, you know, rose-colored glasses of, like, you know...
Yeah.
that we're all looking at it back now. Because, like, I'll be honest, I own Morrowind. I tried playing it not too long ago, and maybe I'm just like a snob, but like it looks awful. The controls are clunky and stuff, and I didn't understand how magic worked. It's very confusing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's rose-colored glasses, but like I said, they also just did the Elder Scrolls Online expansion, which makes sense. I mean, Morrowind is a good one to hit. Like I said, I think Oblivion's good. I think that if you did something Oblivion themed or data heavy, there's a faction of people who would really enjoy that.
Yeah. I'd like to see a Thieves Guild based one. You know, that could be cool. I mean, hold on. We have Fall of the Dark Brotherhood, which I guess, you know, it hits a lot of the same notes, I feel.
Ian Bits says, if we do Valenwood, we'll get Link back, Turquoise Link. He can't resist that many Wood Elf babes. That's kind of funny. Mac asks, what do you think the last class monthly card's supposed to do? So Mage, Archer, Shout, etc.
Huh. It's a good question. I'd like to see, I mean, like, well, the first thing I was going to say before I checked myself was I'd like to see a Mage class support card. But I don't know if we need that in meta right now.
I'd like to see a Mage class token card. Oh, wait.
Right. Right, exactly. Like, I think a good monthly reward card encourages people to try something different.
Honestly, so what I think needs to occur in Mage, because here's the problem, Mage just does everything well. So if you're not trying to push one thing or another that's already seeing play, like mid-range prophecy mage, control mage, support mage, token mage, I think that it needs to be something action-based, right? Action mage used to be a thing. I think that's what Iron is technically supposed to help out with, right, as a class card, but
yeah,
you know, there are things in Mage where it's like play an action, make a token, play an action, pump a guy.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if the next Mage card is like in that vein.
Yeah. I think a scout card with Last Gasp that encouraged Necrom Mastermind Scout would be cool. I feel like that's a deck that could be a thing with a few more cards. We need Narazuri says we need Valenwood Crawler to eat a Nord and give itself +1/+1. I got that reference. That's good. Favorite matchup of all time, any era or meta? So before the nerfs to Scout, I honestly really enjoyed the like the 2 month ago, 3 month ago, 4 month ago Scout ramp versus support mage matchup, because I feel like I mean I had a positive win rate playing support mage against Scout despite the fact that it was such a challenging game. Like I really enjoyed like grinding those matches to the ground. I also really enjoyed last summer playing mid-range life gain Crusader against Prophecy Battle Mage because it was like an automatic win.
Favorite matchup. That's interesting. I don't know. Like, I will say that I have a lot of fun when I play mirror matches often, especially ones that are not like completely one-sided or the other. So like if you've got a good back and forth token mirror, I enjoy those. You got a good back and forth like prophecy battle mage mirrors can be really interesting because the prophecies can change the tide one way or the other.
Yeah.
Control mage mirrors can be really interesting, right?
Yeah.
I do like good mirror matches just in general. When you're not steamrolled, like when you have a bad hand or something, like
Right. Like over a year ago, I enjoyed Ramp Sorcerer versus Control Mage. I enjoyed playing Ramp Sorcerer against Control Mage back then. What else? Yeah, I think my favorites though are Support Mage versus Ramp Scout.
So JT Graphic in chat is theory crafting a card that says, what about a card that triggers end of turn or beginning of turn falsely? And,
yeah, I mean...
that's an interesting concept, right? Like, you think about cards like Murkwater Shaman that say, like, at the beginning of your turn, put a curse in your hand. But then you could have a card that just triggers that, right? Like... maybe a summon effect, maybe it's an action that does it.
Yeah.
You know, similarly, end of turn, there's a bunch of stuff. That could be interesting. That could make a bunch of cards that are not played right now slightly more playable. Like, I'm one of those people that I love Spider Layer no matter how bad it is. But I've always said that Spider Layer would at least feel a little bit better if it said at the end of turn instead of beginning, because you already have to invest 7, and then there's a chance you get nothing out of it.
Yeah. I agree with that. Thoughts on something like Hearthstone's if your deck has no blank sort of cards? I want unique legendaries for each class, or even non-unique legendaries that have special effects if you don't have any cards of different colors in your class, to really like a Reno Jackson style effect that encourages you to play monocolor.
See, I know that a lot of people like the monocolor support, but I understand why they don't push it too heavily. Because one of the things that separates Legends from games like Hearthstone, for example, is the fact that we have attributes and that you can interact with them, right? Like, in Hearthstone, you play Mage and you just play Mage, right? In this game, you have intelligence, and that can be combined with a bunch of other different things. And the monocolor emphasis, if they make monocolored decks too good, then you have no incentive to experiment and, like, look for those cool cross attribute synergies. So I don't know if I would want them to push it too hard, because if it's too good, then you basically go from like 10 possible classes to just like 5 attributes.
I hear that.
And potentially less, because if you have like 5 attributes and like 2 of them are good, then
yeah. I want to say to Nerazuri. Nerazuri writes, I don't want uniques that are so powerful. I'm happy that the Clockwork legendaries are at the power level they are rather than Encano and Tazcad. I actually agree with that philosophy. I do think Encano and Tazcad in particular, because I think Tazcad's more powerful than Encano. I do think that they are... I mean, like... I don't know. They introduce, like you know, I hate being in the state where it's like, my opponent has 33 cards left in their deck. There is one card they could draw that could kill me, and they draw it. It just feels bad. I guess it feels great to be on the delivering end of that, but I don't know.
I mean, I can get behind that, but those scenarios can still happen, like, even if you're in a 3 of. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've said, like, my opponent has already used 2 lightning bolts, so there's only one left in their deck. Whoops, I just found it. You know?
I hear what you're saying, but I also dislike the idea that, like, being a unique legendary is an excuse for a higher power level. I just disagree with that, I guess.
I mean, it is a higher power level, but it's not like, I know that Tazcad is that good, right? But it's not blatantly like super high, right? Like, let's be honest here. Tazcad more often than not is just like, I do 6 damage and I finish you off, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah,
not that much higher than Swiftwing Dragon.
No, Tezcat is so great because of the, over the top amount of value you get for 9 Magicka.
I mean, yeah, but when was the last time like you actually got that value?
Although I have to admit, like in a lot of cases, Eclipse Baroness provides more value if you're not trading with Tezcat.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say right now, right? Maybe 1 in 10 games I play Tazcad when I'm not just doing 6 damage to kill my opponent.
Yeah.
Like maybe 1 in 10 I play it and it's not for lethal damage, and then I actually like I can't even tell you the last time legitimately I got the 4/4 from Tazcad, because I either play him and I kill my opponent, or I play him and he gets Miracked. Like, those are the only 2 options.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it is. So I get it. Like, Tazcad's good and he's certainly powerful, like, on paper. I'm just saying that I don't think that, like, many of the unique legendaries, in my opinion, aren't like so overbearingly powerful that I feel bad about it at the moment.
That's fair. Firedrake wants you to tell him what you think the most powerful attribute is at the moment.
Willpower. No question. Unconditionally willpower. It does most of the things you would want any attribute to do. It can play tokens by itself. It can play mid-range by itself. It's a quality control option. It has life gain. Like, it's willpower.
That's a good question. I mean, like, I can see, like, my response is sort of colored by yours, because, like, I find it difficult to disagree with that. Like, willpower is really strong, and it exists in, you can't tag me. Am I not in chat? I just got a drop, bro. I just got 100 soul gems.
Nice.
Like, but, like, willpower appears in aggro decks, mid-range decks, and control decks right now. I don't know that you can say that for agility, for instance, right? Like, I mean, goblin aggro is a thing, I guess.
You can say that in agility. Like, there's scout control, there's goblin aggro, and I've played mid-range scout pretty successfly. Agility is good. It's just, like, if you're talking about consistency and just overall general, like, I will still take... like, I'll take tokens against goblin aggro most of the time, because I think tokens wins that. I think that the presence of hard removal, the presence of burst healing, the ability to flood the board, the presence of guards, like, how is Hive Defender ever wrong? You know what I mean? Like, agility's got some great stuff, but...
Lovecat writes, yellow and green so strong, but monk not the best class. I actually think that, like, one of the safest things you could rank up to legend with is mid-range monk.
Yeah, Furo's been playing mid-range monk in top 50. But that being said, you have to understand, Lovecat, that we're talking about individual attributes, for one, and two, the reason that monk suffers is that both of those things require a heavy investment into that attribute to make it good, right? Like... Tokens, for example, is basically mono willpower, and then you look at what are the best class cards that I can supplement that with, and the monk class cards are just weaker than the other options. Similarly, for goblins, that's basically mono agility, and then you look at class cards to supplement. And then when you look at even not goblins for agility, you have to run like the curse package, and that's going to be like half of your deck in and of itself there, which doesn't leave a lot of room for the other stuff as well. So I think that's why monk ends up not being as strong, just because you're looking for a good core and then supplement, right? Like, I'd rather supplement with a Daggerfall Mage and Iron than I would Monk Strike and Anasi,
I do think Anasi is one of the most underrated cards ever in this game because I think Anasi is insanely powerful.
Yeah, but the rest of the monk cards are
Hot garbage, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Ray Ray wants to know which ally we think is the best. So, like, I have two answers to this. Like, I feel like in a vacuum, and historically, certainly, Cunning ally, the intelligence ally, has been the strongest ally, and until relatively recently, the only ally you would warp the way you built your deck around. But Resolute ally has enough, like, cheap friends that it can hang out with. After the couple expansions we got, that it certainly has the biggest impact on the game right now.
That's funny because cunning ally would be my third choice right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going with the red one?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Mighty ally
Okay.
would be 4 on my list, and Stalwart would be last.
Okay.
I actually really like Nimble Ally. I think Nimble Ally is vastly underrated. When you can consistently get it to trigger a 4/4 with lethal, basically trades even with or value trades with almost any other 3-drop in the game, and it trades into and survives Hive Defender, which is pretty massive. When you think about 3-drops and people talk about power level, Young Mammoth is always in the conversation, and yet Nimble Ally, again, if you're talking about like when you get the trigger, Nimble Ally is a better Young Mammoth, right? So I think that it's wildly underrated, and
I gotta back up for a second, and I can see your argument. That's a pretty good one. I think that actually, let me go back. In the deck it belongs in, I think Mechanical Ally might be the strongest. Cycling, producing another body for Dwemer shenanigans, super good.
I mean, it's good, but even with like Halls of the Dwemer, you're not getting the same payoff. Like, I think Resolute Ally is still better. When you look at top end, Resolute Ally is potentially a 6/6 for 3, right? Like that's why Resolute Ally wins hands down.
I mean, with Halls of the Dwemer, Mechanical Ally is a 6/3, a 6/1, and a draw card.
How are you getting a 6/1 out of that?
It's a 3/3 that gets. Oh, I'm sorry, a 6/3, a 6/3 3/1 and draw a card. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I used to think that Stalwart Ally was super powerful, and the original scout lists like that I played in closed beta and in early open beta ran a preponderance of purple cards to trigger Stalwart Ally consistently, but Dark Guardian, as was already mentioned in chat, like blows that card out of the water.
Yeah. Well, and again, when you're looking at it, right, like a 3/5 just like it trades with Mighty Ally, but you still let through a breakthrough damage.
Yeah.
It doesn't take care of all of the stats from heavily triggered Resolute Ally. It doesn't even like kill Nimble Ally if that triggered. Trades even with Cunning Ally, assuming that they put the Firebolt into it. Like, it just underperforms compared to the other ones.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Hey, so let's start hyping this up for people. Let's start talking about this now, because I know it's a long ways out. But like, Charmer and I are going to do our damnedest to get to QuakeCon this year. Everybody else should go too, and we should have a huge fucking Legends meetup.
Stop dropping the F-bomb. I'm already getting my stuff demonetized.
Sorry, bro.
I'm just kidding.
I'm serious about this. Like, we got like 7 months or whatever, 8 months till it comes out, till the con. QuakeCon's in Texas somewhere, right?
I think so, yeah. I think it's in Texas in August, but I'd have to look.
Let me look it up. QuakeCon 2018. Enter my birthday. What? Is this an adults only thing? God damn it. QuakeCon 2018. All they got's the 2017 schedule. I don't know when QuakeCon's going to be, but we're going to be there.
I mean, in 2017, I feel like it was in August, though, right? Like, that's what I was basing it off of.
Maybe. And look, I know Texas is like one of the worst states in the country. We get that. But yeah.
That's assuming we're going. We don't even know that we're going for sure yet.
Well, look. I feel like even if we can't convince somebody to pay for us to go, we should go.
I mean, we should go. There's a lot of things that I should do.
Yeah. It'll be good times.
Yeah, Ian Bits is correct. Griffin Gasp, member of the Legends community, is out there.
Yeah. And also, this year I'll be at the Denver Comic Con again, like I was last year. So if you guys are in the area, come check that out.
Ray Ray asks, what is QuakeCon? So...
Yeah, it's like Bitcoin.
It's a big gaming convention, and Bethesda has a particular stake in it because they publish Quake, which is the game for which it has its namesake.
Yep. QuakeCon.
Yeah, you're confusing it with Quake Coin.
That's funny.
Oh.
Hey, can you... Yeah. Actually, okay, yeah. I got a question for you once we're off the air.
So yeah, let's get those final questions in. We're getting to that point where we would traditionally wrap up. Mr. Larson has a paper that he has
sorry
to
guys.
write, so...
I'm in the middle of one of the most important classes in grad school. For me. Conventions are places where people go and wear costumes and feel at home and look at nerd shit that they might feel like a little uncomfortable looking at in general public. Not because it's inappropriate, but because it's, just like sort of an esoteric hobby. You're just surrounded by people who like the same kind of weird shit you like, and it's a real feel-good place. I've been to the Denver Comic Con the last 2 years and had a blast.
I mean, there's those kinds of conventions, and then there's stuff like Blackboard World that I've been to for work.
Yeah, Blackboard World. Dude, earlier this week I toured the Denver Harm Reduction Action Center because I'm trying to establish a partnership with them, and I want to get them to train my agency staff on how to administer Narcan. And it was the first time I'd gone out by myself in a suit to represent us at another agency, right? And I felt real important, man. It was a good feeling. It was nice.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. Is there LARPing? Probably. I went last year dressed as a Nord because Heroes of Skyrim had just come out, and I went to the Direwolf Digital fucking booth, and I in character on film was harassing them about whether or not they were supported the Stormcloaks or the Imperials, and the only people they had sent were the Eternal team, and so nobody knew what the hell I was talking about, and it was very disappointing.
Oh. Yeah. So I want to take a moment and apologize for the seemingly abrupt end of the podcast. My computer actually had a blue screen of death, and we were unable to recover it in a reasonable amount of time, so the podcast ended abruptly, and this is just me adding in something after the fact to let you know why it seems like it just cuts off. So again, I'm sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but this was the end of this week's podcast.